السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Alaikum Assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm just starting the live quickly.
Okay.
Mm.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد.
See,
Chima, I just lost the page. Brother, just give me the last slide of it.
okay. I'll read it inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم اهدنا لما راشد أمورنا ونعوذ بك من شرور أنفسنا ونسألك علما نافعا ورزقا واسعا وعملا متقبلا وشفاء من كل داء. اللهم اجعلنا من ورثة العلم نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم الراسخين في العلم المتحققين الناجين في الدارين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So we're busy discussing the 5 shurut for the qiyas to be correct. And we're busy with the second shart, which is that the ruling here to derive the qiyas must not change the asl. We did one example to stipulate niyyah in wudu, making qiyas upon tayammum will not be correct because you're changing the ayat of wudu from mutlaq to muqayyad. وكذلك إذا كنا التواف بالبيت صلاة بالخبر فيشترط الطهارة وستر العورة كصلاة كان هذا قياسا يوجب تغير نص التواف من الإطلاق إلى القيد. Another example is that if we were to say that based upon the hadith of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, tawaf bayt, making tawaf, circumambulating the Baytullah has the same position as Salah. Making tawaf around the Kaaba Sharif has the same status as performing Salah. And as a result, a person makes it a condition that he must be in a state of tahara. His aura must be covered and so forth. All the shurut of Salah, ka Salah. Since it is equivalent in the hukum of Salah, so all the shurut that apply to Salah will also apply to Tawaf. So كان هذا قياس يوجب تغيير نفس التواف. So we will say that this qiyas will necessitate changing the text of qiyas, meaning that the hadith which Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has mentioned, he hasn't mentioned the shurut of salah. So once again, you are making it from changing it from mutlaq to muqayyad by placing the restriction of salah or the shurut of salah upon it. Okay, so that completes the second shart, that your qiyas must not end up changing the nas. ومثال الثالث, an example of the third condition. What is the third condition? وما لا يعقل معناه في حق جواز. And so the third condition was that we are unable to, or rather the illa is not something which is ma'qul. The illa is not something which can be understood. And so as a result, we say this is khilaful qiyas. And because it is khilaf contrary to normal qiyas, therefore we will leave it as it is. Understand? We will leave that masala as it is, and you cannot derive any other masala from that particular nas. So if that nas does not have any illah, which is either mentioned clearly or which can be derived from the particular hadith or Quranic ayat, then you have to leave that ayat or that hadith as is, and you can't derive any masala from there. And we gave the example of the masala of the kahkaha, laugh aloud in salah. That was a simple example, although the author, rahimahullah ta'ala, mentioned it in under condition number 1. So anyway, so he says, what example is he giving here? في حق جواز التوضي بنبيذ التمر. So the illa cannot be stood, for example, in the right of permissibility regarding making wudu with nabidh al-tamar. What is nabidh al-tamar? It is a date infusion. What does that mean? It means that you take some dates, 3, 4, 5 dates, you place it in water and you leave it overnight. And the Nabi Sallallahu would drink that. So approximately 20 hours, 15 to 20 hours later, the Nabi Sallallahu would drink that. It was like a tonic. So what would happen is that the sweetness from the dates would be infused in the water. And the properties of the dates would be transferred into the water. So Nabi Sallallahu used to like this. It was like one of the favorite drinks of Nabi Sallallahu. Very healthy as well. So anyway, this is called Nabidh al-Tamam. It's a date infusion. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in the ahadith, or rather the Shawafi have said that it is permissible to make wudu with Nabidh al-Tamam. That it's permissible to make wudu with Nabidh al-Tamam, for this date infusion. فإنه لو قال, and now if it is said جاز بغيره من الأنبذة بالقياس على نبيذ التمر, if it is now said that because it is permissible to make wudu with this date infusion, despite the fact that the color, taste, and smell has changed, although it's a pure thing that you can add into it, the dates, but the color, taste, and smell of the water has changed, which normally takes the water out of the ma mutlaq. So even though that is the case, because of this hadith, we're saying it's permissible, and now we're making qiyas that because nabidh al-tamar is permissible, any other infusion will also be permissible. So if you're using honey, for example, honey infusion, or you're using raisins, which Nabi Sallallahu also sometimes used to put the raisins in the water and soak it overnight or so. So it will be permissible to make tayammum with those infusions as well, making qiyas upon the tamar. Now, he's not going yet to the hukam, he's mentioning another example. Or he says, person says, لو شج في صلاتي, that if a person is struck on the head in salah, causing his head to bleed, أو احتمل, or he has an emission in salah, he has an emission in salah, يبنى على صلاته بالقياس على ما إذا سبقه الحدث لا يصح. So what the masala you might have done in your fiqh, what is the masala? If a person's wudu breaks in salah, he can leave the saf, go make wudu with certain conditions. We don't go into the condition. I want to like he must not talk and so on and so forth. He can go make wudu and come back and join the salah from where he left off and continue. So this is called bina, to build upon the previous state that you were in. So this is permissible, I said, although the shurut, if the shurut are kept in place. So now this again is contrary to qiyas. Because why there are many nawaqid of wudu taking place. Number one, you broke your wudu. Number two, you're turning away from Qibla. Number three, you're having harakat is movement because you have to go to the wudu khana and so forth and come back. So there's what you call kathrat, is a excessive amount of movement, all of which breaks wudu. And all of which it breaks salah. But yet we are saying, based upon a hadith, that you can make bina, that you can continue with the salah if those certain shurut are stuck to. Okay? So now if a person says that the same thing will apply, that if a person was struck in his salah with a rock on his head, causing him to bleed, or he had an emission, he can make bina. And then he can go, it is his bandage, or he can go have a bath and come back and make salah, making qiyas upon that person who broke his wudu in salah and made bina. So he's saying, la yasihu. This will not be this qiyas in both cases, the nabidhu tamar masala and in the bina masala, this qiyas will not be correct. Why? لأن الحكم في الأصل لم يعقل معناه. Because in both cases, the hukam in the asal, the hukam in the nabidhu tamar masala, went contrary to the norm, and the hukam in the bina masala went contrary to the norm. In the nabidhu tamar masala, normally that would not have been allowed to make wudu with it. And again, in the bina masala, it normally would not have been allowed for you to make bina because there are so many factors that are breaking your salah, not just one. But there are multiple factors causing your salah to break. But yet it is permissible. So we cannot come to any conclusion as to why that is. What is the illah for that? Why is this masala different to the norm? Why is this masala to all other masala which comes under this particular bab? We don't know. Understand? But the Sharia says so, sami'na wa ata'na, so we accept it as is. But we cannot make qiyas on that masala and derive other masala from there. Why? Because there's no illah. If there's no illah that we are aware of, if there's no illah, then you can't. Then what are you basing the masala on? What are you basing the qiyas on? Because we mentioned before, one of the main accounts of qiyas is the illah. There must be a common factor that unites the asal with the fara, the original masala with the derived masala. If you don't have that common factor, then you can't transfer the hukm of the asal to the fara. Understanding? Is that clear?
Yeah.
Right. Any questions?
No.
مثل هذا. So based upon this, قال أصحاب الشافعي عليه رحمة, the ulama, the Shafi'i ulama, the Shafi'i ulama, rahmatullahi alayhim ajma'in, say, kullatan najizatan. This is a Shafi'i masala. That if the word is equal to 2 kullas, a kulla was a particular measurement, a big drum, I'm not sure what the exact literage will be in today's time, but it's a big drum of water. So if there's 2 kullas, understand? 2 kullas, 2 such drums of water, or a measurement which is equal to 2 kullas, right? Whatever a kulla is, then that water, even if najasat falls, it will not be najis. Even if najasat falls into it, it will not be najis as long as it doesn't change the taste, color, or smell. Okay, so because why 2 kullas is considered to be an excessive amount of water, so therefore the water will overpower any minor najis that falls into it, provided it doesn't change the taste, color, or smell. Okay, that's a Shafi masala. Okay.
Yeah.
Now what they say, they make qiyas upon this, and they say that if you have a kulla, 1 kulla, 2 kullas separate, not together. You have 1 drum of water, right? And you have 1 drum of water, each measuring 1 kulla. Okay? If both those drums of water, which measure a kulla each, not together, understand? They measure a kulla each. If najasa goes into it, it becomes najis. Okay? Why? Because it's less than 2 kullas. Each one is less than 2 kullas. But if we were to transfer them into 1 big container now, making it 2 kullas, it will change from being impure to pure. You follow? Because on their own, individually, they might have become impure, but by making it 2 kullas, it now becomes pure. The Shafi masala, okay? based upon the khabar. But now they're saying إذا اجتمعا صار طاهرتين. Two separate kullas of water, they are impure. If you join them together in one big container of two kullas, that can encompass two kullas, they will become pure. But now, فإذا افترقتا, if you have to separate them again after that, into one kulla each, then bakiyata ala taharati bil qiyas, they will remain pure based upon qiyas. They won't revert back to impurity, even though they are now one kulla separate. They are separate kullas now. You follow?
Yeah.
Making qiyas on what? Alama idha waqa'at najasatu fi kullatayn. Making qiyas upon the fact that if najasa was to fall into that much of water with each two kullas from the beginning, it will not become impure. So the same way here. So we're saying you can't do that. Because what is the reason, what is the illah for the two kullas of water not becoming impure by najasa falling into it? Again, we don't know. Because it goes contrary to the norm. This is against the normal masala. Under the normal circumstances, according to the normal qiyas, or according to the normal understanding of our fiqh, it's supposed to have been impure. Understood? So we don't know what the illah is. Why? What is so special about two kullas that it cannot become impure? So since we don't have an illah, we are saying لأن الحكم لو ثبت في الأصل, that if the hukm, if it is established, meaning if we were to accept this masala of yours at the two kullas, we don't accept it. But if we were to accept it, that this is a hukm in the original masala, كان غير معقول معناه, its meaning is not understood, meaning the illah is not understandable. What is the reason for it? What is the illah for it? معنى يوم من illah. What is the illah? What is the reasoning? What is the rationale for two kullas not becoming impure? We don't know. So because we don't have an illah there, how can you transfer this masala to a fara? You can't transfer the hukm of this masala to a fara because what is the common factor between binding the two? Understood?
Yeah.
Okay. So that now we're going to the fourth condition. What is the fourth condition? وهو ما يكون التعليل أمر شرعي لا لأمر لغوي. That the ta'lil, the illah then must be extracted from a shari'i matter, not from a linguistic matter. So you must be drawing the illah that you are basing the hukam upon. I said it must be from a shari'i matter. It can't be from a linguistic, a matter related to language. You can't make a matter related to language become an illah to make qiyas upon. Okay?
Yeah.
For example, al-madbukh al-munassaf khamrun. That which is cooked until half of it evaporates, that's khamr. So one of the processes in the old days of making khamr is what? You take grapes, the juice of grapes, like how they do nowadays to make wine, and then you boil it. You boil till half of it evaporates. This is called munassaf, from the word nis, meaning half. So once half of the liquid evaporates, it becomes thick, and then it starts to what's the word? It likes to curdle. It's almost like it curdles. So that juice now curdles. It goes off and it becomes wine. Okay,
Sure.
and becomes intoxicating. So they're saying is al-madbukh munassaf khamrun. That anything that you do that with, it doesn't matter what the what ingredient you're using, whether you're using whether you're using grapes, whether you're using potatoes like they do for vodka, or whether you are using what you call wheat like they do for malt and so on and so forth. That doesn't matter what you're using, what the product is that you're using to make the alcoholic beverage. Understand? If you do this, if you follow the same process and that happens, becomes intoxicating, when half of the liquid evaporates, the name of khamr will apply to all of it. Okay, why? لأن الخمر إنما كان خمرا لأن يخامر أكل. Because in Arabic, the word wine from grapes was called khamar because لأن يخام العقل, because it dampens the mind. And you know what a khimar is? A khimar is a scarf of a lady, isn't it?
Sure.
Called a khimar, the scarf, right? So why is called a khimar? Because she covers her head with it. So the word khamara means to cover, it's meant to block. So khamar was called khamar because it covers the mind. The intoxicating fumes that goes up into the head covers a person's normal understanding of things. So he can't understand what's going on. It's not by his senses. It dulls and numbs his senses, so he doesn't know what he's doing or saying. You follow? So that's why it is called khamar. Okay, understood?
Sure.
وغيره يخامر العقل أيضا. So the same thing happens to other intoxicating things besides grape, that which is derived from grapes. So just like wine derived from grapes is called khamar, in the same way we can say that all other intoxicating drinks, irrespective of where it is derived from, can also be called khamar. And therefore the hukm of khamar will apply to all of those things as well. It will apply to beer, vodka, malt, blah, 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 makhaya, and whatever else. Understood? فيكون خمرا بالقياس. Why? So all those intoxicating things will also be called khamar by qiyas. Okay? Now again, he doesn't mention he doesn't object against it here. He brings another example and then he objects against it. Right? So that's what the Shawafi say. All intoxicating drinks are called khamar. Why? Because the reason. So this is illa is based upon what? It's based upon a linguistic meaning of khamar. You follow? Upon the dictionary meaning of khamar. Why khamar was called khamar? That is now becoming the illa to apply the hukm of khamar to all other drinks and to call all other drinks khamar as well.
So the original khabar is only grape juice.
Only wine, yeah, only wine. Even the non-Muslims nowadays, if you see wine advertising for wine, all of it will be either red wine or white wine. They don't call beer wine. They call beer beer, vodka vodka, or spirits. Vodka is called spirits. They don't call non-grape produced alcohol wine. You follow? So even they do that till now. Okay, so that's what the Hanafis say. The Hanaf say only derived from grapes is wine. Anything else is intoxicant, muskir. It's an intoxicant, and yes, because intoxication is the illah, therefore we can apply the hukm of khamar to all other muskirat. You follow?
Sure.
Not based upon the word khamar, because that illah is now a linguistic illah, it's not a shari illah. Understood?
Sure.
والسارق إنما كان سارقا لأنه أخذ مال الغيب بطريقة الخفية أو خفية. And a sariq, a thief, is only called sariq. Why? Because he takes the wealth of others quietly, in a clandestine manner, in a quiet manner, in a scalar manner, it's in a quiet manner, without them being aware. Okay, that's why it's called a sariq. وقد شاركه النباش في هذا المعنى. And a nabash, a person who steals the coffin of the dead of the maid, he shares this definition with the sariq. يكون سارقا بالقياس. So the nabash will also be called sariq. You can apply the name sariq to nabash as well. By qiyas, by making qiyas upon the definition, linguistic definition of a sariq. Okay?
Sure.
So we say no. وهذا قياس في اللغة. You are making qiyas upon a linguistic meaning. And in taking the linguistic meaning and applying a shari'i hukam across the board, can't do that. That's not allowed according to us. مع اعتراف أن الاسم لم يوضع في اللغة. While at the same time acknowledging the fact that a noun or a word, a name, has not been what you call, has not been placed as such in law. A nabaj is called nabaj, a sadiq is called a sadiq. They have separate names. So you yourself acknowledge the fact that they have separate names. So why are you making qiyas of one upon the other? So we don't accept that. Why? وَالدَّلِيلُ عَلَى فَسَادِ هذا qiyas. And the proof that this type of qiyas is incorrect, invalid is what? أن العرب يسمى الفرس أدهم. That the Arabs call a black horse أدهم. لسوادي because of its blackness. وكميتا لحمرتي, and they call a reddish brown horse kamit because of the reddish brown color. Okay, I think that's called a palomino in English, I'm not too sure. Anyway, ثم لا يطلق هذا الاسم على الزنجي والثوب الأحمر. Now you can't say that because this thing has been called black Adam because of its blackness, and this thing has been called kamit because of its reddish brown color. You can't say now that anything else that is also black or dark skinned, for example, we're going to call that person Adam as well. So far, it's malayat like it's not a zanji. So this noun cannot be applicable to a dark skinned person. But thob al neither can the word kamid be applied to a red piece of cloth. Understood?
Sure.
So ولو جهات المقاييس في الأسامي اللغوية لجاز ذلك لوجود العلة. So had it been permissible to apply qiyas to names in linguistic names or linguistic nouns, then this would have been permissible. Why? Because the illa is there. They share a common color. But that's not the case, even you acknowledge it. Basically, what he's saying here, Melissa, is that what you are saying might work with certain words where we have an understanding that this thing is called this because of that. But that's not the case in all words in Arabic. Why is shajar called shajar? It's just so. Why is a rose called ward? It just is, understand? There's no reason for it. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
So this constant is an illa because it's going to work in some cases, and in other cases it won't work. You understand? There's no set principle in the language that we must have a reason why we're calling this thing by this name. So that concept as an illa, as a valid illa, because you're going to run into a wall in certain cases. It's not going to work in certain cases. Follow?
Yeah.
So something like that can't be a universal illa for other things. Follow what I'm saying?
Sure.
So that's why we're saying you can't use language as a valid illa because it might work in certain instances, not work in other instances. Okay?
Sure.
ولأن هذا يؤدي إلى إبطال الأسباب الشرعية, and this will lead to a person invalidating the shari'i means, meaning that the illa will become batil. It will no longer use the illa, as a result of which qiyas will become invalid altogether. Because qiyas is only valid if you have an illa, proper illa. If now you're going to use language to do that and not the sharia, what will become of the sharia? What will become of qiyas? It will no longer remain a proof. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because now you're going to go look for a linguistic reasoning every time as to why this is that. And you're going to end up maybe changing the ahkam of sharia in that way. You follow?
Sure.
Oh, of his time up already. Okay. Okay, so we'll stop there, inshallah. I'll complete it next week, inshallah, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. See, so make dua for us, especially if it's possible, we must need to ask tonight, inshallah. And then tomorrow, inshallah. سبحان الله بحمده سبحانك الله وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.